How much resolution do you actually need? There's a lot of numbers and facts that make up what makes a good image. Most people don't understand the finer details. They don't understand color depth. They don't understand codecs or log or any of these things. They will hear in the marketing of their TVs and in their cameras is resolution. Resolution is essentially the number of pixels that make up an image. And it's often misunderstood. You'll hear a lot of people talk about how you don't need a high resolution to make a good image. You don't need to shoot in things like 4K. I say, as I'm shooting in 4K, why might you not want to shoot in higher resolutions? Well, the file sizes are bigger, often a lot bigger. With bigger file sizes, you need faster computers to edit them, and you need more hard drives to use them. What's the difference? What should you shoot in if you're filming? What about photos? There's two ways currently that resolution for video files are categorized. You may have heard of 720p or 1080p. These are both considered HD. 1080p is considered full HD. 1080p is one of the most common standards you'll see for video production. You've heard of 4K. It's fancy, it's 4K. Can you tell the difference between a 1080p image and a 4K image? I've seen mixed results. I think I can tell when I'm looking at a 4K image. I'm like, that looks slightly nicer, I think. But of course, I think so. I've also seen tests with footage where they've shown 1080p mixed with 4K and even mixed with 720p. And there are times when I can't tell the 720p footage. There is a point where resolution's enough and enough is enough. And depending on the context, it could be 720p. It's usually 1080p. That's usually enough. So why would you spend more data? Why would you slow down your computer for 4K, for above 4K? I think for just a good image, you're gonna be fine with a 1080p image in most circumstances. Maybe if you're shooting a feature film and you're wanting it projected, maybe you'll be a little bit cautious, but I've even heard of feature filmmakers who cropped into lower resolution. That's, I think, what's important to note. Most monitors at this point, most displays, most TVs, don't go above 4K. For TVs, you'll usually get a 1080p or a 4K television. And for monitors, you can get 1080p, you can get 1440p, which is in the middle, and you can get a 4K television. 4K is 4 times the amount of pixels as 1080p. So it's a lot more, which is a lot more data. And I think it's arguable if you can see the difference. The other benefit is while 1080p, I think, looks really good, the more you crop into it, the more you notice. If you're shooting at 1080p and you don't want to lose more resolution, you're really stuck with the frame that you have. This is one of the big benefits of 4K. You can crop in post. The other benefit is often the digital side of stabilization will crop in your image using the pixels around your image in order to get a more stable shot. If you have more resolution, you can sacrifice more resolution in order to stabilize your footage and still get a lot of resolution to work with. This is one of the benefits of 4K. Another big benefit of 4K is vertical video. There's a big debate of how do you shoot videos now? Do you shoot them vertically? There's a higher demand. Do you want to shoot them horizontally? If you're shooting a 4K video horizontally, there is a vertical slit from the top to bottom of a 1080p frame. So sometimes, particularly if you frame it wide, you can shoot in 4K, then later crop in and still get a 1080p image. It's important to note that when you crop in, there is sacrifices to image quality that aren't related to resolution. Sometimes you can crop in, and other times, if you crop in too much, you're gonna lose image quality. And sometimes that's not worth it, sometimes it is. So why shoot in 8K? Because you're getting really big. Alright, that's 4 times 4K. These are huge files. There are some reasons. One, depending on what you're using it for, 8K, while maybe not giving you the image quality boost that you really can tell the difference, it can give you more precise data when you're doing things like motion tracking, which can be really helpful for VFX. Let's talk about megapixels. Let's talk about the difference between video resolutions and photo resolutions, because ultimately they're all pixels, but the way you hear about them are very different. So you'll hear about photos in megapixels, and often you'll hear, a lot of megapixels. You don't want small megapixels. So a 1080p image from 1080p video is only 2.1 megapixels. It's really not that much. Most cameras nowadays, if you buy a new camera, will have 2.1 megapixels. They often will also have 8.3 megapixels, which is 4K resolution. If your camera has more than 8.3 megapixels in its sensor, that doesn't necessarily mean it can shoot 4K, because it has to have the ability to process the 4K. With video, you're talking about 20 frames a second, even can go up to 60 frames a second, you can go up to 240 frames a second. That's going to take more computational power. But if you're looking at photos, if you have 8.3 megapixels in your photo, you've got a 4K image. That's gonna work for a lot of people. And then 8K is 33.2 megapixels. So you're getting photo quality resolution. My camera has 7K photos. It's a 33 megapixel camera. So you're getting a lot of megapixels. One option is if you're shooting photography, if you shoot 8K in 24 frames a second, well then you're getting an image that is 33 megapixels 24 times. If you're shooting very fast-paced action where the specific frame is really important to get, well then you might want to shoot 8K video and not shoot still photos. The video still frames won't have as much color data. There will be downsides in terms of grading. You're not going to get the same flexibility you will from taking raw stills that you will in most 8K recordings, but it has its use case. And then you also have, and you have this with 4K and 8K, you can do zoom ins and not have to worry about resolution. 8K is really important if you want that flexibility and you want to make sure that your files at the end of the day are 4K native, genuine 4K out of camera. If that's important to you, 8K might be important to you. I think 6K is usually just enough. Some people would argue 4K is enough. Some people would argue 720p is enough. I have been debating. Should I shoot everything in 1080p? I like having the vertical, so I think I'm going to stick with 4K, but should I just shoot vertical videos? They're popular. What should I do? What's your favorite resolution? Should we go back to 240p, nostalgic, the good old days? Standard definition, underrated. Is it? All right, bye.